Welcome to our slope video. We're going to show you the 4 tools that you need to run to do the step for getting the right slope. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to start with your ranger districts you have the definition query for the 3 ranger districts that you're interested in. And then the other layer we're going to use is this DEM. That's for a digital elevation model. When this loads, you'll see what it looks like, and you'll see that it's really, really big. So it covers the whole state of Utah. So the first thing we're going to do is make it so it's smaller so we can deal with it. And normally we'd use a tool called Clip with vector layers, but since this is a raster layer, we're going to use a tool called Extract by Mask. Okay, so here's our DEM. Like I said, it's really huge. And so now all of the tools that we're going to run, we're actually going to do in the model. And I'll go back to our map here to show you what each of the outputs look like. So the first tool we're going to run, like I said, is Extract by Mask. So you're going to pull that in this geoprocessing pane. Here it is. So we have our tool here, and the layers that we're going to use, like I said, are our DEM and the ranger districts. And you might notice over here there's a lock sign where it says this tool is not licensed. So I'm going to show you how to license the tool as well. You go to Project, click on Licensing, configure your licensing options, and we're going to turn on Spatial Analyst. Okay, now we're ready to use our tools. So the way that you connect these into the tool is just by dragging it in like this. So our ranger districts, actually let's start with the DEM. So the DEM is going to be the input raster, and the ranger districts are going to be the input raster or feature mask data set. So once we have both our inputs, this turns yellow, and we can open it up to set any other parameters. So there's nothing else we need to set, so we can go ahead and just run this. Okay, great, so that's done. And let's see what this looks like. So we right click on the output, say add to display. We can go back to our map, and the output raster, we can bring this to the top, is just the size of the ranger district. So that's going to be a lot more manageable for us to do our other analysis on. So now the second tool we're going to run is called the slope tool, which makes sense. We're just going to calculate the slope. So right now we just have elevation. We want to know the slope of every point. So we just connect our output right into that tool as the input raster. We can double click on that to open up the rest of the parameters. And the output measurement, you can do this in degrees or in percent rise. You have the number for either of those. I'll just leave mine in degrees. And then we say OK. And run. Okay, so this layer should look like this. It turns brown like this. And we can see how these areas at the tops of the mountains have higher slope, and that makes sense because they're at the peaks. Okay, the next tool we're going to run is called Reclassify. So right now we have all of these different classifications. We have so many categories, but we only really need 2. We only really care about slope that's good or slope that's bad. So when we bring this in, I left it in degrees, so it's 21.8 degrees that we are looking for. So when we open up the reclassify tool, we say classify, and we, like I said, we only care about two classes, good or bad. And here it just divides our numbers in half, from 0 to 36 and 36 to 72. But what we care about is 0 to 21.8 and 21.8 to the maximum. So if we left it like this, what would happen is every value between 0 to 21.8 would come back as 1, and 21.8 to 72 would come back as 2. So we'd just have two colors in our raster layer. But a shortcut that we can actually do is we can change this to, so anything that's above the slope that we can use, we can just change this to no data. So that will actually just get rid of any pixels that are above 21.8. It kind of just eliminates a step for us of having to do a definition query or something like that later. So we say OK, and we can run that tool. Great. Add to display, and you can already see over here that there's only one value. It's only left with one color. Anything with a value of 1, the slope is acceptable. So it's taken out these areas on the peaks of the mountains where the slope is too high. Okay, and now our last tool. So like I've been saying before, this is a raster layer, which we can't do all the analysis that we want to on raster layers like union and intersect and erase. So we have to change this to a vector layer. So the tool to do that is called raster to polygon. We just bring that in like we have before as the input raster. There's not and so don't check this, and we'll just say okay. Don't want to create multi-part features. Yes. Okay. And here's what our final output will look like. So it just made a vector layer of what our pixels look like underneath. So you can kind of see how underneath our vector layer there's these pixels sticking out underneath it. So this layer is our layer of good slope that you can use as part of your good criteria.